This is the meeting that was rescheduled from the October 9th regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, October 23rd, and the time is 11:09 in the morning. We welcome you all here to our meeting. We don't have a real long agenda today, but we got some important items obviously to cover, as we always do. And we had an administrative hearing this morning, which concluded. That's why we're a little bit late getting this meeting started. So thank you for being patient with us. Our opening exercise today is by the Honorable Mrs. Linda Powers. So Linda, I'm going to turn it over to you.
There were two teachers who actually were going to do this presentation, and because we had it switched, we had the hurricane, and they were going to be here 4 on that day. Well, today they could not. They could come 4, I guess, we were going to be here, but they couldn't come at 11 o'clock, so I'm doing it. I'm giving a presentation. All the time, Ms. Himmel says in the school system, it's great to do all of the math and science and social studies, and everyone learns things, and that's what school's about. But most important is the fact that the caring, the feeling, the kindness that the children learn and practice in the school system. And Sam always says she'd rather have the student leave the school system and have one friend. That would be the most important thing of all. I think something about this Hannah's Art from the Heart explains how children can really feel. We're having the downtown Inverness, the art show coming up on the first weekend. It's always the first weekend in November. And I've been a part of that for many years. I haven't done it last year and this year. I'm not doing it this year, but I've always been the liaison with the school system. Now someone else is taking over. And it's showing art, how it can be enjoyed, but also there can be a purpose. It can make something happen. And Hannah's Art from the Heart makes something happen. If you look or listen, those of you, I gave some of you a piece of paper. Let me explain what Hannah's Art from the Heart is. And I'll read if you don't mind. Hannah was born a healthy, happy baby with smile and laughter delighted all of you. When she was 19 months old, she started having pain in her leg and trouble walking. She was diagnosed with neuroblastoma stage 4 and childhood cancer. She received treatments at 5 different hospitals in 3 states over a period of 6 years. And the treatments included chemotherapy, surgery, and radiation, all of which were toxic to a little child's body. It was the dose for an adult, but that's what they had. That's what they could work with, but it was hurt for the child. Despite these severe treatments, Hannah remained a happy child. She loved riding roller coasters, dressing up like a princess, and creating artwork. She was an inspiration to everyone who met her. Hannah died cancer-free in March of 2010. Harsh treatments were vital to fighting her cancer, but the treatments caused a lung condition that ultimately took her life. Hannah was 7 years old when she died. Hannah's Art from the Heart is a way for children to raise money for pediatric cancer research. Children of all ages are encouraged to donate pieces of their art to the organization. All funds raised from the sale of the artwork are contributed directly to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation in Tampa. The main goal of this foundation is to develop more effective and less toxic treatments for children with cancer. If less toxic treatments are discovered, other children's stories don't have to end on campus. What is happening here at our school system is that at the Canto Primary School, Corey Collins, who does the pots, throws the pots, and over at Rock Crusher, Stacy Griffin, they're a part of this Hannah's Art from the Heart that was started by Stacy in 2012. And they've raised $16,000 for the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation. The Canto Primary itself raised $10,000. So the kids know what they're doing. They're making these pots, the pots that I passed out to you. These are the pots made by 4th graders. They throw them, they paint them, and then they take and give their artwork down at the art festival, and the people there come and buy this. It's a $5 piece. Some people contribute $10. Some people I've known contribute $100. All of them know it's for helping childhood cancer. And I think it's a pretty important lesson that kids learn, that they can have the joy of the art and see the art for themselves, do the art, create the art. And it's the enjoyment of it, but also it's doing something very, very good for kids who have cancer and have diseases. So I wanted to bring that to you. Wish the other teachers were here, the kids were here, but this hurricane sort of messed up our schedule. So thanks very much. I hope you enjoy. Thanks. And now, if you would stand for the pledge.
I'll stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Ms. Powers. Before we adopt the agenda, I do need to make a change, board members, and that is under item B5, the new job description for transportation media technician has been pulled. That is that's under school support services, which is Roman numeral 6B5. Make a note of that we have, or the superintendent has asked for that to be pulled from the agenda.
Move approval of the agenda, removing item, is it 6B5?
Yes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Kennedy, a second by Ms. Bryant to approve the adoption of the agenda with the one item removed. Is there any discussion, comments? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Motion passes 4-0. We are without Ms. Counts today. He's not able to be with us. Obviously, this date is a workshop. Usually our fourth Tuesday is a workshop day, but she had prior plans, so she's not able to be with us today.
Oh, Mr. Dillon, I've got one thing to say. Happy birthday.
Happy
Mrs.
birthday.
Sybil. It's her birthday today.
Sure is. Happy birthday.
She's 37.
She keeps trying to give it as a day off for the students, but for some reason the calendar committee never quite buys off on it.
Okay, and we do have a time now for citizen comments. We'll also have another time for citizen comments at the end of business. But is there anyone here that would like to speak to the board? Do we need green cards? Okay. Again, is there anyone who would like to approach the board? Make comments to the board? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the next item. But before we do, I need to change an item on the consent agenda. We're going to leave it on consent, but there was a date change that I want to make note of for all of you. And it's on page 3 at the top of the page, number C, item C, on the consent agenda under educational services. It says to approve to advertise for a public hearing at it should say December 11th, 2018 school board meeting to approve the request for Second Amendment to the 2018-2019 Code of Student Conduct. So that date has been changed because of the publishing, the notice that we must give to the public. That date has been changed to December 11th, 2018. I take it we're all good with that. If anyone wants to pull it, we can, but we'll leave it on the consent agenda. So at this time, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as changed?
I move to approve the consent agenda as changed.
Second.
All right, motion by Ms. Powers, second by Ms. Bryant to approve the consent agenda as changed. Is there any comments, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Our next item, item number 4, is our presentation. Presentation. You know what? We're going to pause that for a minute. We're going to recognize our donations, the reading of our donations. All right, Mrs. Bell.
Approve the $500 donation to Forest Ridge Elementary from the VFW Auxiliary Post 10087. Approve the $1,000 donation to Fernando Elementary School from Keller Williams Realty. Approve the $500 credit donation to LaCanter Primary School from James Patterson Scholastic Book Club Giveaway Award. And approve the donation of bristlebot kits for a value of $510 to LaCanter Primary School from donorchoose.org. Approve the $675 donation to the Academy of Environmental Science from Farrow & Sons Insurance. Approve the $500 donation to the Academy of Environmental Science from Save Crystal River, Inc. Approve the $935 donation to the Academy of Environmental Science from Network for Good. And approve the $10,000 donation to Withlacoochee Technical College from Crystal River Eagles, Erie 42728. That's a total of $15,120.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Thank the support of our community for sure. Okay, now our presentations. Our first one up is the Citrus County Education Foundation and Shauna Burnett.
Good morning, good morning. It's great to be here. Happy birthday to you. I have good news for your birthday. I want to share first off our impact statement from the last school year. I kind of wanted to bring that to the attention so we can see what we've been building on that we will be able to show you for success in this school year. In front of you, you have the first ever impact statement from the Education Foundation. And you can see on that impact statement that we've kind of shifted a little bit. It's not so much always about how much money is in the bank or how much is coming in or going out, but it's actually how many students can we impact with those dollars. So we're very proud to say that we are serving consistently 15,542 students every year. And this year we're going to be able to increase that, and I can share that with you. But that impact statement kind of gives you an idea of all of the community partners that we have: Duke Energy, Suncast Credit Union, the Consortium of Florida Education Foundations, and one of our newest top A+ donors is Citrus Oral and Facial Surgery. But what I wanted to share is the collaboration of all of the groups working together that are bringing funding into the Education Foundation that goes directly back to our schools. With that, last year we were able to give out $80,700 in mini grants, distribute 8,250 books into the hands of pre-K and kindergarten students, and then also receiving just over $200,000 in in-kind donations that went directly to schools. We had 36 scholarships in the amount of $24,000, and then also we were able to do some fundraising efforts that went directly back to the school of $15,000. Some of the things that we incorporated last year new, in each of our high schools, we have a resource room. Those resource rooms are being used daily. And those resource rooms in our high schools allow for high school students to come in and get whatever they need without questions asked. Those were set up with a partnership with the Education Foundation and Lowe's. And then we have businesses and student-led organizations that are keeping those resource rooms stocked. So if a child is in need of clothing, shoes, food, school supplies, whatever that might be, they are able to go into those resource rooms in our high schools and get what they need without the questions. And those have been very successful, and we're very proud of that and that collaboration. So as we move forward into this year, it kind of gives you an idea. We have kind of upped the game this year, and we're very grateful for that. You can see what funding we have coming into the foundation for the 2018-19 year. I do have a change on that was given to you because of the number of mini grants that have been turned in this year and the partnerships that we have had. Our $15,000 grant from Duke Energy for mini grants has increased to $21,500, bringing our total going out in STEM and literacy mini grants to $78,000. We just had our fundraising event this past weekend where we received the funds from the Kings Bay 5K. of $12,115, which has had a match. So now we are increasing our mini grants of last year from $80,500 to just over $105,000 this year. So we're very excited that teachers can apply. It is a competitive place to be. We do have just over $140,000 in requests turned in. We have a team that reviews those. We work closely with our district administrators to make sure those are programs that can be used in the classrooms. And then we start that process of funding what we possibly can. We will be announcing that tomorrow to our teachers, letting them know which grants have been approved, so that's very exciting. And we invite you all and the community to come out on November 1st at Curtis Peterson at 5 o'clock as we celebrate all of those grants going into the classrooms. The other piece that I wanted to share with you is what we have going on that's new this year. I think the number one piece that is exciting to share, Mrs. Himmel has been, we've been working together on this for a couple of years. It's something that she really wanted to begin here in Citrus County, and we were a little shy at first. How do we make this happen? I'm so excited to report that the free teacher store is up and going. It is fully stocked, 100%, and because of this wonderful community that we live in, we have not spent a penny to stock it. It is available for all teachers. We have merchandise in there that any teacher can pick up, anything that they might need. They come in free and don't pay for anything, so it's free of charge. They are scheduled once a week. I'm sorry, each school is scheduled during the week once a month. And they come in and get what they need. It's been great. As we start to think that things are going out, there's a knock on the door and a drop-off happens. So it's very exciting to say that it's up and going and it's the community who's making it happen. So that's probably our biggest news for this year, along with our mini grants. And then I just wanted to share some of the events that we have coming up. The Zombie Run, set for this weekend on the 27th. Not exactly the zombie type, but I'm learning all about it. And so where 100% of those proceeds come back to the foundation. We do have the mini grant gala on November 1st. And then we will be giving out over $100,000 as we talked about previously. The next item that we have is on November 10th, which is our Dragon Boat Festival, which has taken on a life of its own. We have now been deemed as of yesterday, this is great, as an international event, as we have several countries coming in to participate. Because of that, we have met with the Department of Tourism. They have partnered with us, and they have given us a large donation as a give back for bringing all of the tourism into Citrus County. So we will be able to share what that event brings in for the foundation once that event is over. We're working with school teams, community teams, teams from all over the world. It's really incredible. Teams from Washington State contacted us yesterday, Canada. So it's going to be great. It's going to be a great event. And we've also partnered with the Crystal River Veterans Weekend. So they have moved that Veterans Weekend to happen during the Dragon Boat Festival. So it's all at one time. So we're very excited. So we have some VIP pieces set up for our veterans. We have some great fun happening for our schools. And then we have a day of crafts and food and everything set up for the community. So last year we brought in just about 4,000 people. And I think this year we're going to probably really increase that with the number of people coming in from all over the world. So we're super excited about it. It sounds a little crazy for us here on Lake Hernando, but we're a little nervous. But it's going to be great. It's going to be a great day to be out and celebrate the public school system and bring money in for classrooms and district programs. So that's really all I have. We have all of our events. You would have received a VIP ticket to our Foundation Fest. Such a great night. It happens on December 14th. Battle of the Band Teachers, which is always a great time to come see our teachers put a band together and compete against each other. It's a fun evening of celebrating. The first semester is over, moving into the second semester, and that night also brings in a lot of community support that is just overwhelming for us at times. We have partnered with so many across Citrus County now, and it's really incredible that we are able to continue not just with in-kind donations for classrooms, but when funding is needed, we're able to provide it. So that's kind of our report to kind of let you know. Do you have any questions or
I just
anything?
have a comment. When you think about the foundation and you hear the excitement coming from Shonda, she has done phenomenal things to turn our foundation around. And I promise you, if I meet with her in the morning and say, wouldn't it be neat to have a wild animal, tigers, lions, and bears to go down Main Street for a fundraiser, that would probably happen by next spring.
With bows.
Yeah, a lot of things. So she has a phenomenal board, but I will have to give her the credit for that because she has gone out and looked and looked and looked for people who get out and work at these functions to make what happens in Citrus County. Our teachers feel very comfortable with our foundation. They give and give and give. And I will tell you, after I meet with Shonda a couple times, I am worn out. So, so Shonda, we appreciate what you've done for us.
And I will truly tell you, it is because I'm surrounded by wonderful people who work very, very hard. Our board of directors, we only have 1.5 now, which I'm excited. We have a half-paid employee, and she's donating a lot more hours than she's getting paid for, I can assure you. Susan Frampton has been a wonderful addition to us. But we are 24 volunteers who work tirelessly to make sure that we have everything we need. So thank you very much for your kind words, but it is a total team effort, and the partnership with the district is incredible. There's such a wonderful rapport in going in and really sitting down and talking about things that schools need and how can we go out and make those things happen, and everyone works really, really well together. So thank you very, very much.
I wanted to lift out too, Gloria Bishop and WTC, the work that you guys are collectively doing. You've been bringing them on board. They've been bringing you, or they've just kind of adopted you over there. So not just the store, but I think you've moved your office over there.
Yes.
Just really a great.
And I want to say, with the free teacher store, one of the really incredible pieces, when you look across the state of Florida, there are many districts that offer a free teacher store, but it is a huge expense for those districts. It's very hard to keep up. But we have zero cost because WTC has taken on the operational cost of that store as well as the foundation. So that's a huge plus for us, and we would not be able to do it without WTC.
And if at some point that you're wanting to bring some type of display or advertising with regards to the partnering that the community's done there, I would certainly be opening to hear those
Wonderful.
ideas.
Yes, that is in the works. So we are trying to highlight and advertise that with WTC, with the school district. How does this all work together? Even though we've been around 30 years, every single day when I'm meeting with someone, they've never heard of the Education Foundation. So we're doing a lot of hard work, but we have a lot of hard work to do still also. So we continue to meet with people and definitely want to showcase everyone who's partnering with us and making these things happen.
Resource room, I just want to say, wow. Shonda, I know that was truly it was a project that was near and dear to your heart, is near and dear to your heart. You know, I serve on the Blessings Board, and it's sometimes easy to help get resources to elementary kids because if they're hungry, they tell you they're hungry. If they're cold, they'll tell you they're cold. When we get into our high school in particular, our kids don't tell us our students don't tell us enough what they need, and they want to be, they obviously don't want attention brought to themselves when they need some of that assistance. And what Shonda's done and the Educational Foundation has provided not only the resources, but in such a way that is respectful to the students and provides those needs, so thank you. And I have to echo Superintendent, I feel like the Educational Association is a partner with us. I feel like we are team students. So congratulations with all that you're doing, and count us all in.
Thank you, thank you. And like I said, I'm surrounded by wonderful people who do wonderful work every day, and that's what makes it happen.
Ms. Powers, for your service, because I believe you serve on there.
Yes,
and,
yes.
It was so, the grip of Miss Bryan, when I think she knew it was Miss Powers, she was like, okay, I can do that. I can. she's
And it's been wonderful having Ms. Powers on board because she's sharing some of the pieces, the history of why the foundation is connected to things like the Art Festival and what we do for that. There are just so many programs, too many to name, that we are tied to over the years, but are still able to continue to bring whether it's art, whether, whatever that piece is, that connection is allowing that to still continue, and we're very grateful. And I definitely want to do a shout out to Dr. Rishi Patel and his wife. They have both joined our board, and they are incredible. And they are willing to make sure we move in a direction with STEM, and making sure that the funding is there, but also the commitment of helping students. So our board is growing. We haven't had to excuse anyone, but there's starting to be a waiting list, so that's an exciting thing to have. And when organizations and businesses call you and ask you to partner, instead of you begging them to partner, it really speaks volumes about the work that the volunteers are doing on this board. So we're very, very grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John, thank you very much. All right, our next item is Ms. Dickey. And we have a proclamation.
Good morning. I'm trying to finish up from our earlier meeting. Sorry about that. Good morning. As you may or may not know, this week is Red Ribbon Week, so our schools are doing many things to celebrate that. And it's an exciting time, and we do have some folks here from the Anti-Drug Coalition. So, Kara. And we have, well, Kara's going to introduce April, so I don't want to steal your thunder. How's that?
We're gonna read the proclamation.
Okay.
You want to speak?
Either way, it doesn't matter. Go
You're the
right ahead.
You're here, yeah, you're here.
Come on. I'll speak afterwards.
Proclamation Red Ribbon Week, National Bullying Prevention Month, and Unity Day. Whereas Citrus County Schools, along with the Citrus County Street Team, a group of local prevention agencies, together value the health and safety of all our students. Whereas substance abuse and bullying is particularly damaging to one of our most valuable resources, our children, and a contributing factor in the 3 leading causes of death for teenagers: accidents, homicides, and suicides. And whereas it is the goal of Red Ribbon Week, National Bullying Prevention Month, and Unity Day to involve families, schools, businesses, churches, law enforcement agencies, and service organizations in all aspects of this campaign, and establish an atmosphere that supports awareness, education, and ongoing initiatives to prevent illegal drug use, bullying, and whereas the Citrus County Red Ribbon Week campaign theme of Be All You Can Be promotes a positive message to students and encourages them to make decisions that impact bright futures by living a healthy, drug-free lifestyle, along with Unity Day, which encourages students to take a stand against bullying, choose kindness, and demonstrate peace. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Sandra Sam Himmel, serving as the Superintendent of Citrus County Schools, do hereby proclaim the following: October to be National Bullying Prevention Month, Wednesday, October 24th is Unity Day, and October 22nd through October 26th, 2018 as Red Ribbon Week in Citrus County Schools, signed on October 22nd, 2018.
I guess we can get a picture right now. Let's do that again. April's going to give you a little red ribbon. Okay, I think you guys have known me long enough that I'm pretty much a staple with red ribbons. I always bring you guys some kind of red ribbon for the week. But I just wanted to say, on behalf of the Anti-Drug Coalition and our Executive Director, Renee Teester, we want to thank the school board for the red ribbon participation within the schools. It's really important. Renee's working today inside the school systems. She's serving with some of our community prevention partners in the schools, Eckerd Connect, Tobacco Free Florida, Aspire, and our newest partner is the Florida National Guard Drug Task Force. And they're out of Orlando, but they've participated with us.
We chose the theme this year to be all you can be. It does have that giveaways that are going to be given to all the students in the schools. I just want to say my little nephew came home. My boys have went through school now and gone, but my nephew came home and said, I'm wearing camouflage to school tomorrow. I'm going to be all that I can be, and that's drug-free. And I'm like, yes, it's working. So we appreciate that. The National Guard is going to be with the prevention team this week within the schools. They have an interactive display, and it's going to be during the lunch hours of the middle schools and high schools, encouraging students to remain drug and alcohol free. With that, we also have some things that we're doing in the other schools. In middle school, we have a contest, and that is a media contest that's running this week. The elementary school has an essay contest, and we also have a teacher's door decoration contest that it's all going on again this year. We want to thank you for what you do every year with Red Ribbon Week and supporting the Anti-Drug Coalition and working with us to make sure that we get the message out to students to remain drug-free. We're blessed in this county that we do have a lot of students, the majority of them that are drug-free, and we want to make sure that it stays that way. Thank you again for recognizing the Anti-Bully Prevention Month, and don't forget tomorrow to wear your orange for National Unity Day. And with that said, I'm going to introduce April Royal. I almost said Royal April. You are royalty to us, that's for sure. April Royal to talk about the 4th Annual Royal Legacy Unity Walk.
Well, thank you so much for the proclamation. It really means a lot, and that Unity Walk, this is our 4th annual, and really where it's transformed. Phil and I joined the 1st annual one where it went from Cornerstone all the way to the courthouse steps, and it really has evolved. And Eileen David, who was really taking the reins, who's on our board, we are inviting all of the National and Junior Honor Society students from each middle school to be bussed in, which we were able to get sponsors for to help cover the expenses of those buses. So those students will be coming from the middle school, and what we decided as a board, and Doug Dodd is on our board as well, that every middle school that participates in our Unity Walk this year is going to receive $1,000 from the Phil Royal Legacy. They're going to be able to use those funds however really they choose in their discretion to promote kindness in the schools. And specifically during, I believe in February, they have there's a rap club. Some schools have it, some schools are going to start implementing it again, but be able to use $1,000 during Random Act of Kindness Week, which we've called Royal Act of Kindness Week, and they'll be able to buy gift certificates if they see a student doing something random, any type of nice act of kindness. One school even said that they had somebody who had a lunch bill that they would like to pay on behalf of that student, and we said they can use it however they choose, so that doesn't carry on with them for the remaining of their school year or school career. So we're really honored. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock, we're starting at Liberty Park. We'll be walking over to the courthouse doorsteps where we'll be having some speakers, potentially maybe going into the Valley where it's a little cooler. We're just trying to figure that out. But anybody who would like to join us in the community to be part of this event and really just trying to bring awareness into the schools where the middle school age is so crucial in that turning point for students. So we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
April, thank you for coming in, and Kara, thank you for being here on behalf of the Anti-Drug Coalition of Citrus County and the Phil Royal Legacy Foundation with April and the commitment that foundation has to helping students. And I know from being on the board, we talked about how to help kids. You know, one of the things that we were getting some requests for assistance, and the board decided that we wanted to offer something to all the middle schools, and instead of just individually doing things, that we would give that money to the schools. And we have a lot of confidence in the way things go on at our schools with our principals and guidance counselors, that they would have that opportunity to use that money where they see fit as extra money for a way to help students.
It'll be on our recognition of donations next time.
That's right. Yes, that's right. It should be. It should be. So that's been a great thing. And the Unity Walk, Unity Day is the premier event of National Bullying Month, and orange is the color to wear. The walk will be there starting at Liberty Park at 4. So thank you for making that announcement.
And April, just so you know that our three high schools, they all do things about kindness, and I meet with the high school group probably every other month or something, but that's always a topic of discussion, and kids are starting to say, hey, we went and did this. We're sitting down with kids who don't have anybody to sit with, or we're going out, we see kids walking alone and those kinds of things. So our high schools are jumping on the bandwagon also, so we appreciate what you all are doing.
Yes.
And it certainly makes an impact on our kids.
Maybe we can partner with maybe with the middle schools as we're growing, or the high schools, we're growing with the middle schools, we can maybe go for that at the high schools as well.
And Kara, I know that Renee couldn't be here today, but you guys consistently are having an impact on this community and consistently are involved. So we really appreciate the work of the Anti-Drug Coalition as well, getting that message out. So thank you.
I do want to let you guys know that this, I think, might be the first year that we've had all 4 middle schools participating in the Unity Walk. So that's exciting. So all 4 middle schools will be there tomorrow. And I'm very excited about that. And did you mention the ice cream doctor? I haven't met the ice cream doctor, but apparently the ice cream doctor will be there tomorrow. And that's the doctor.
I hope next time we see you, you can't make that statement.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 5, educational services. Scott Hebert.
Good morning. I'm asking for approval of the research proposal request, the efficacy trial of eye control.
I move to approve the efficacy trial of
Second.
All right, motion by Ms. Powers, second by Ms. Bryant to approve the research proposal request for the FC trial eye control. Is there any discussion?
I'm going to have Mrs. Kirby. I asked her to come because she was a part of the process.
And then did you sort of say what maybe we can receive back from this study once they've done it, and how they apply to future students that we can help?
Absolutely. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me here. The purpose of this study, just to give you a broad overview, is to evaluate the effectiveness of a program called Eye Control. It's an executive function-based self-regulation intervention for students with emotional behavioral disorders. And I talked to Professor Smith, who's from the University of Florida. He shared with me that they had chosen to target students at the middle school level. And the reason why they were doing that is because they felt that there were so many resources already available to students at the elementary level, and so many available at the high school level with students transitioning out of our high schools, for example, vocational rehab and hope services and so many things that are available to our older students, but that there was a whole gap with middle school students. And so when they developed their curriculum, it was with those students in mind. And keep in mind that this is a very small population of students that they're looking to target, and they're focusing on students that are already have the label of emotional behavioral disorder. We have 3 schools that they'll be working with. Crest, we have 6 students at Crest, 5 students at LaCanto Middle, and 4 students at Citrus Springs Middle. And it's actually, I said they're working with, it's actually their own teachers that will be working with them. They'll be provided a curriculum if they are in the group that is not the control group, in which there will be 3 evaluations that the teachers will do, working with the students, for the students to be able to self-evaluate how they're doing with self-regulation at the beginning, the middle, and the end of the year. We will have access to the data that they have, and if we are the sites that are actually get the curriculum and not the control group, we'll have that curriculum. And the curriculum is a series of 46 lessons, and then there's also a gaming component as a reward. So what will we get out of this? We're hopeful that we will get access to a curriculum for an underserved population of students. It will be provided, again, the teaching will be done by our teachers. There will be professional development, and they will also receive a stipend from the University of Florida for their time. Does that answer your question? As a broad overview?
And as you said, it's a special group. that's being focused on. So
Absolutely.
without focusing on that, could be probably say, I don't know what to do with it, I don't know where to go.
Well, there are limited resources out there to support these students, and there are so many that the curriculum embraces so many of the things we're working with so many students on. Things like teaching them self-regulation skills, helping to support their overall executive functioning. And just as a reminder, executive functioning is the ability that helps people plan and organize and complete tasks. It helps their working memory so that they can actually think about what they're doing before they do it. It helps them have more flexible thinking. It helps improve their self-control. So this executive function helps them with better attention skills, organizing and planning, and then being able to stay focused on what the task is that they need to do and keep themselves regulated and under control. And a student that has emotional behavior disorder, that's the goal. We've got to teach them how to be able to control what the issues are and be able to build their ability to be able to do that.
Focusing this year and the past for this year, particularly because the legislature on the mental wellness of people, and this fits right in.
It does.
And the way it's organized, it's not happenstance. It's not, well, let's see what we'll do today. It's absolutely one thing after the other. This is what you're supposed to do. So therefore, you develop a pattern, and then learning that the very same interventions can be used with other students.
Absolutely.
So you're getting
It's going to build our teachers' ability to be able to help support students. So it's a series of 46 lessons that will be taught each week, and there's nothing that says they can't use those same skills and the same instruction with other students that have the need. But I was very excited when Professor Smith contacted me over the summer. I was all ears because it is such an underserved population, and I was honest with him and told him I don't have that many students already identified, because we're talking about 15 students that they will be working, helping to support. Another exciting thing that this is they do have 5 research assistants that will be coming out to help support the teachers. And so not only will they provide the professional development, but they'll meet with them on an ongoing basis to help them tweak, to help meet the needs of those students as well. So it just sounded win-win all the way around to me.
a living library.
Absolutely.
What's the product we're using for screening right now as part of the new changes that we've had?
Are you talking about for the mental wellness?
Yeah.
I know that there are 2 things that are being done. One, at the elementary level, they're using the SABERS, which is a teacher self-evaluative system. We actually are getting ready to roll it out at a specialized one at the pre-K level, in which our group, Sarah Hebert led a group of professionals to help determine questions kind of based from the SABERS and based from other things that they had to be able to help identify those students that might be at greater risk for mental
But there's some that's a
illness.
self-evaluation of the students as well.
And that's for the older students, that's middle school and high school students, and I believe that's the best.
So I'm thinking of that. Is that a tool that would have increased how many we've identified? Because you said we have about 15 that's identified for
Well,
this
these are
study.
students that have the need, not only, well, because of mental wellness and emotional behavior disorder may not be the same thing.
Okay.
So that's one of the first things you have to remember. A mental wellness issue may be something that was caused environmentally, just the anxiety that a person is under, perhaps because of testing or whatever the case might be. Where an emotional behavior disorder is something that is to the significance that it requires specialized instruction. So the student has the inability to self-regulate to the point that they need basically daily or specialized instruction to help them overcome their disorder or help compensate for it.
What's the dates for this? I mean, as far as when the study or the work is being done?
We hope to be able, I talked to Professor Smith yesterday. We originally had this, of course, on our September agenda, so it has been pushed back because of our hurricane. But I know that he's wanting to get here to provide professional development within the next month.
And
be able
this
to
would
get it
last
up and
through
going.
just the end of this year?
And
or?
I'm not positive. I know that there are a series of 46 lessons, so I don't know if they'll be able to complete it by the end of this school year or if it will extend into next year. Originally, it was intended to be this school year.
Okay, very good. Are there any other questions?
Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for considering
Did
this.
you, there was an approval?
We have a motion, so we have a second. All right, so we're, yes, is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the explanation.
On Scott, I know you were always complimenting about the many things you do, but your wife Sarah is really on top of this. So I want to say thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, thank you. All right, I'd like to ask, next is approve the agreement by and between the School Board of Citrus County, Florida, and the PACE Center for Girls Incorporated of Citrus.
Move approval of the agreement between, by and between the School Board of Citrus County, Florida, and PACE Center for Girls Incorporated, as amended.
All right, motion by Mr. Kennedy, second by Ms. Powers to approve the PACE Center for Girls contract as amended. Is there, that's correct.
Well, and what happened was I sent them and put it on here, and then there were a couple adjustments that we made, and you should have had a copy of it.
Yeah.
Get it to you early enough, so that y'all have a chance to read the
Mhm.
things, crops up and where it's.
So, are there any questions? I have a question, but
If someone would go over this, go over the PACE agreement, what age group girls would be, how they're selected, all that kind of thing, so just share that with us.
The selection process is done through student services. So Ms. Humbaugh's department will reach out to the guidance counselors in the school to determine girls that might be fit into what they consider girls that would qualify to be a part of the program. So then they would then take those selections, and again, this is voluntary, so if the girls would choose to be involved in the program, then they would be able to start in the program. And the goal is that they start in January. So that is the selection process that would occur. It would really happen through our student services department working with the schools to look at that. They don't have, we ask, do they have a particular criteria or rubric that's used, and it really is not looking, there is no particular rubric or criteria. It's just looking for girls that would benefit from being at this PACE Center for Girls.
And what will they be exposed to? What would be like the curriculum, so to speak?
The curriculum, they will follow, teaching the standards. A big part of what why PACE has really looked and been successful in other districts is they have a lot of what we call wraparound services that are provided to the girls on site. So counseling services and resources that they will have there. It is a full year program, so the school operates over the summer as well. So it's not a traditional 9-month program. The girls would then enroll and be involved, and they have, I know they take them on field trips and other types of programs to assist.
How many students do you think can be involved? How many girls will be involved?
They have a total right now for 50. However, when we've talked to some other districts surrounding, they've started low numbers, 10, 15 to start with. So I don't see, and this is just my personal opinion, us starting with 50. I see us starting with a number of maybe 10 to 12 that we can hopefully get enrolled into the program and get started, and then we'll see from there. Because a piece that they have to work out is, and we're working with them on that, is the transportation. Many of the girls in some of the other centers, there's public transportation to provide them. In Citrus, we're working with them to say, what can we do to help support that? But again, many of them, the parents may have to bring them to the site.
Now, I noticed that the year is a 250-day calendar with, I think, 20 days for in-service. So this is going to be more of a year-round
Yes, this
program.
is all summer. It goes all year round.
So with that, do we have a determination on the security side of that building? I mean, they're in the same school as the Renaissance Center. So are we going to be covered with the one SRO, or is there a determination yet as far as whether or not what will be required extra with PACE Center? Is there any requirements?
We, our understanding is that the SRO that is assigned to the Renaissance building will cover both the SERMI side as well as the PACE side.
What about the year-round issue?
that we would need to make sure, and I know Ms. Cernich is here, that they are covered throughout the summer as well.
And I'm assuming that falls into the summer school duties, because there's a multitude, it's not just PACE that we have. We have other facilities that are going in, that have school year round.
And this is part of our focus again on mental health and mental wellness, so.
And if we can throw you a curve, Chief, we, enjoy just watching you, just
You can
walk
throw
over.
me a curve, I'm willing
No,
to.
you're great. This is exciting. This PACE school, we talked about it earlier in a meeting that I think we just can't wait for this to open, and so it is still on track to open for second semester.
Yes. And I have to give kudos to Mr. Bradshaw. He did a phenomenal job. PACE had provided us with a contract. The Ed Services team met with them multiple times to kind of talk about what we were comfortable with doing with them, and then we provided Mr. Bradshaw with a rough draft, and he has turned it into this document you have in front of you, which I think encompasses what we're comfortable with and interpreting the language that they want as well. And he's worked with the PACE folks as well.
I spoke to him yesterday, they're very excited about getting things to the and there will be a follow-up with a piece on the next agenda.
Which is, again, working out really well, because that's probably an ideal facility. It's right there. It meets all kinds of geographical and other.
Not a lot of modifications.
Yeah.
It's a great building. I mean, maybe the location, it is centrally located, but the transportation, I guess, is going to be their challenge, but I'm sure we can.
And they're aware of that, and we've talked about some different options, so they're very aware. We just have to get started. We'll see who the girls are. We may have parents that are saying, I'm willing to drive my student there, and so we may not have that issue.
And they opened last January in Hernando County. They pretty well had the same roadblocks that we're having with our transportation as they did in Greenville. And they'll monitor for numbers and things.
And if anybody, I have confidence that will figure out transportation, it is Ms. Farmer. So when it comes to all that, if whatever role we play in that, we'll do that. Will we be providing food, nourishment, that kind of thing over there?
I've worked with Mr. Pistone and through the food services department.
I think typically he supports it now anyway, so that's just,
We support Sophie.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So this will just be just some add-on to that.
Originally, we had looked at WTC, the 700 building, and although we could have made that work, this is much easier because he already provides food to the Sermi side, so it'll be a nice, easy way to provide the support for them.
Is somebody share the common area, the cafetorium there, or is that Sermi side, or is that?
They, in conversation with PACE, they know that if they want to use that, they're willing to work out an agreement of time frame for them to go in there. I don't know how much they'll use it, again, because of the number of students they're going to have, they may not, but they certainly know that we went out, I took them on multiple tours and showed them the site and gave them options of what they wanted to do, and so they're very open to, I think they want to see once they get in and what works.
All right, very good. Any other questions or comments?
It's a great society, so thank you so much for studying.
Very good. Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Item number 6. Human Resources, Ms. Swan.
Good afternoon, just by a few minutes. Ask the board's approval of the instructional and support recommendations as listed on the goldenrod.
Move approval. Second.
Motion by Ms. Barnett, second by Ms. Powers to approve the personnel and support information recommendations on the goldenrod. Any questions?
It's not a question necessarily about this, but I noticed we've got some positions open, some instructional positions. I'm assuming though, after December, a lot of times there's sometimes graduations that take place, and it's a little easier to get interest in some of those. I wonder if maybe you all might coordinate, and maybe we get a list of posting of that and put it on social media.
Absolutely.
Openings, and you know,
Absolutely, we definitely
because it
will.
maybe
We'll
people
put it
starting
out.
to be able to start thinking about, you know, applying, especially with school coming.
And we're doing some recruiting in Missouri in November. I think it's 2 weeks from now, a week and a half from now, we're going there.
Good time to
There's a
go.
recruiting fair, absolutely. I'm not sure how many universities, typically there's anywhere between 20 and 30 at the recruiting fairs.
Those about
Absolutely.
Pennsylvania, we always seem to do pretty well in
We plan
Pennsylvania.
to go there as well this year. Yeah.
It's a good time to bring people.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Hopefully it's really, really cold when we go. No offense to Miss Douglas because she does not like the cold weather, but
Can we take pictures of all of our single teachers and send them with you?
no problem.
And say, come to Citrus County.
And maybe put College of the Ozarks down on a place for y'all to write to. They did go.
Hard work youth.
Program on them. TV.
Hard work youth. They call it
That's
hard
what they
work
call
youth.
it.
They work while they're there, they graduate.
Hard work youth.
Without any debt.
They're used
Wow.
to working very hard, so.
That is so
great
cool.
group for us. yeah.
we will definitely get that out on Twitter, absolutely,
Thank you.
this week.
And Ms. Androsky can help you on the district
Absolutely,
side.
thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes.
Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Move on to,
I'm sorry, I just saw there's a Martona on the appointment list. That's cool.
we move on to removal 6D, risk management, Sherry Surge.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am requesting approval of the 2018-2019 Best Practices Self-Assessment Report for School Safety and Security.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Bryant, second by Mr. Kenny to approve the 2018-2019 Best Practices Self-Assessment Report for School Safety and Security.
Yes.
All right, I just wanted to have the clarification for our board. You know, this is this document is the district-wide document. It's not the FSSAT, the Florida State School Assessment tool that's all the schools went through. But this is a document that we have in the past approved, the OPAGA, was that what it was called?
Yes.
Sir? And so didn't want to confuse it with this new FSSAT, but I wanted Ms. Surge to explain a little bit about the differences in the process there.
Sure. As you stated, it formerly was the OPAGA. We've done it for many, many years, and it's a district assessment of safety practices within the district. Just 2 or 3 years ago, they changed the title to the FSSAT, which is the Florida Safe Schools Assessment Tool. So this is the District Florida Safe Schools Assessment Tool. And as you all know, new this year, as part of the Senate bill, we were required to do a Safe Schools Assessment Tool for each school site. Those were done, they were completed, they were submitted on August 1st. This is the one that is done annually, that is due the end of October each year, and again, it is for the district. And there has been some additions, some revisions to this year based on the Senate bill, so we carefully went through those questions because they were brand new this year. And this is a team effort who does this tool. It's led by myself, but also I include Eric Stokes from maintenance. I have Greg, who is our environmental and safety project leader. There are sections in here that are pertinent to transportation, and I get input from Marilyn. And then there are areas, questions concerning student services type questions that I get input from Kit. So it is a joint effort. We go through every single question each year to make sure we're very accurate as to the safety practices that we have within the district. I also include Sergeant Frank from the Sheriff's Office. He does a review of this as well to make sure he agrees with the responses that we're submitting to the state. So it is ready for submission to the state. It's due by October 31st. They have added a page at the end because this is a different agenda item, but safety specialist is required to share some findings and recommendations with you all, and you all are to approve those. So I mention that now because that's incorporated in this tool as well. The final page on here is where we certify that findings and recommendations have been presented to the board as well in regards to safety. So that goes in this tool now to tell the state that we have done those things.
So this is the district-wide instrument. There's still the school level instrument. Mr. Dodd, because you're working on the commission, is there been any look at, you know, how these interact together, how they're going to be, you know, I mean, we want if there's findings and there's information, we want those to kind of coincide, you know, the school level to the district level to actionable.
Right. Well, there are going to continue to be changes to the Florida State School Test Assessment Tool and how that is required to be filled out. This correlates, I think, very well with this district report, the individual school reports. So there's correlation, without a doubt. We haven't really had a discussion at the Marshall Douglas Commission on that, but from what I've seen, and Ms. Surge, correct me if I'm wrong, you would agree with that too, on the correlation with you as far as the information.
Yes, in fact, the Department of Education drafted a tool for us to assist us, and it's a crosswalk between the two tools, and it identifies which questions are similar and alike, so that we can kind of use that as well.
Right, because they're not contradicting each
No,
other.
that was a concern, because, you know,
Yeah,
sometimes
no, I
it's
agree.
like, you know, they're good ideas, but they don't execute. And then the question for Mr. Bradshaw is, you know, some of this is only as good as we can protect the information in it, and yet statutes also saying, oh, by the way, you need to approve some of these. You know, are we able to, or I guess what I'm saying is however we can meet the letter of the law, but also provide the safety and security of keeping that information in shade, I think we need to make sure we do.
And I'm hoping the legislature means, I mean, this was a deadline that's been set for legislatures on for a while, not for a while, but I think this is typically every year. I was hoping that the legislature would meet next year and remedy what's in 726, which should.
Right.
Okay, are there any other questions or anything?
Do you just need approval on, I mean, do you
We have a motion.
Do we have a motion?
Ms. Bryant, we have a motion?
We did?
She's
Okay. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Okay, the second item is requesting approval of the 2018-2019 annual findings and recommendations from the school safety specialist to the district school board, which identifies strategies and activities that the district school board should implement in order to improve school safety and security.
Okay, let's go ahead and have you do the presentation before we make the motion, just so we know what's here.
Okay.
If you want to go over.
So this is a joint effort, what we've been working on since this mandate from Senate Bill 7026. It's certainly led by Mrs. Himmel and the executive team. Mrs. Himmel makes safety a very top priority in our district, and a lot of time has been spent by many people. I work very closely with Mr. Bishop in the area of safety, and also Mr. Baumer, as you know, is in student services. Greg Cavino is the project leader for safety, and then Tom Watkins is a safety specialist that we have. In addition, Eric Stokes works closely with us in the area of safety, and then we appreciate Mr. Dodd being on our safety and security committee that we have. So as I go through this, again, it's led by Mr. Bishop as well, if he has any comments or questions as we go through it. I thought it was important to share with you the basis and the documents and tools that we used to have these findings and these recommendations. So a lot has gone into it. So if under the section on here that's called data collection, as you know, we had FSBIT come in immediately and do a safety assessment on all campuses. And I would note that they said at each of our campuses that they felt we had very good safety practices, that our campuses were safe, secure, but that if money allowed, they gave suggestions as to ways to enhance that. There were not any immediate critical needs or fallacies that we had at any of our campuses. Secondly, we did the Florida Safe Schools Assessment Tool that we just mentioned. We did one for every school site. Then a third bullet, as part of that, it was required that we do some sort of a safety checklist, or that we involved our local law enforcement in assessing all of our campuses. So the principal of each school, along with the school resource officer or one of the school resource officers, and then when possible myself or Greg Cavino, we did survey and do a safety checklist at all school sites, and that is part of what led to these decisions. The next bullet, we did the district FSAT that we just mentioned, and then as you know, we have our monthly safety and security committee meetings. And many things are brought to that committee, discussed at the committee level, and decisions are made there as to things we could do to enhance the safety within our district. So based on all of these things that we did, all of the data that was collected, there are findings and recommendations of some strategies and activities that we feel would improve safety within the district. I'm going to, due to the safety exemption, we know that there are things we should not discuss in the public because that could put safety at risk. So these are just some general parameters and general findings that we have. And Mr. Bradshaw, feel free to stop me at any point if you feel like any of this. We did try to be very general in these statements. And in my conversation with my DOE contact, she said the same thing to us. She cautioned that, of course, these need to be general because we're saying them in the public. But some of the things that we have done and some of the recommendations that we have are to enhance classroom security procedures. And we've done this by doing some specific things, but we have clearly enhanced the classroom security practices by some of these things that we have implemented. Also, access control at all main entrances. We have changed that at a few to improve it at a few of the entrances. Many of the entrances we already felt were where they needed to be, but there were some that we did improve so that they're all up to equal standard. As you know, we implemented the ALICE lockdown protocol, and we have received our district certification for that. We've met the mandates to be an ALICE certified district. Part of that was to establish rally points, which is a part of our ALICE plan. Those are suggested rally points. Those are fluid, they can change. We have added exits, or we're going to be adding exits to perimeter fencing where we need to do that for proper evacuation purposes. Part of ALICE is that an option is to evacuate, and so people need to be able to get off that property if necessary. So that's part of what we're going to be doing. We have a strategic plan to improve and or increase our cameras on campus. We have a plan that we're looking at and what is the highest priority to try to do within the first year and the second year, etc. We have added signage that have enhanced safety on our campuses, directing visitors, as to where to go and to streamline the visitors who are on campus. We've reviewed our lighting procedures. We've modified those where we felt it was needed to improve security. We're going to be enhancing our emergency radio coverage. These are things that have either been done or that we plan to have implemented by the end of this school year. As you're aware, there is a hardening grant, and some of those monies that will come from the hardening grant will help us with some of these things. So some of these are waiting on those monies to be freed up. We're going to be adding some security enhancement to windows in some specifically identified locations that we felt would be beneficial for safety. We have enhanced our perimeter security in specific identified areas, and we have established reunification protocols and procedures to implement post-emergency situations should we need to do that. So these are just some general statements, but there's a lot to this and a lot of things that we are planning to do. We've been having regular meetings again with Mr. Stokes, myself, our safety folks, and as I said, Mr. Bishop is very closely involved in these things. So this is basically what we have found in our surveys, and these are recommendations that have come directly from these surveys, these assessments at the school sites.
One of the things that's nice when you walk around, and I've always thought we did do a great job, but there's just a little more, it's just a little more careful. You see doors are always closed. You see that they're, in the right way. Things are more just, you see less mistakes. perimeters and things like that are only as good as people following directions with those. And right now, everybody seems to be very cognizant of it in a positive way. The question is going to be, a year from now, what are we doing to keep supporting that, encouraging that, creating a culture? And some of it I know you've got like signage. I'm wondering too, though, even from the elementary to the middle to the high school, whether it's, you know, share information, whether it's keep doors closed, whether it's, you know, to have staff and students be a part of that safety and security as appropriate. And that's just something I think we ought to look at it. I know you're doing some of that now. It's integrating into professional development. But if it can become culture, I think it just helps.
It's a good idea to share the information with the different levels too, especially with elementary, people in middle school need to know these kids have been trained to do that. So,
Right.
great idea to share.
As it goes through, you'll see, you know, we're always supposed to close the door. You know what I mean? You know, we don't if we see a chair in a door because someone did it, and it happens. I mean, you know, we close it, we lock it. I get in trouble in my own house for not locking the garage door because that's the rule in the house. So.
It's become a standing agenda item at all of our principals and administrative meetings each month, so it is being looked at and discussed on a monthly basis. And we also have representation from all levels, elementary, middle, and high school, on our meetings, the safety meetings that occur once per month. So we do try to articulate it from level to level. But I agree with what you're saying. There's a lot we can continue to do to bring it to the forefront.
And I think it's just one of those things we have to keep doing. Right now, it's really a part of embedded into us because of where we're at. The question's going to be as we go through in the next group and when we get back to doing just as the regular business of the school. We want to keep that culture.
And now all of our schools do have access control at the front entrance, correct?
Yes. With the exception of one that we have made some improvements on. With our adult ed, we have made improvements as far as, but it is a community school, it's open to the community. We have enhanced it, but it's a little different than the other sites.
Does it fall under any different regulations too because it's an adult school? Meaning, you know, because it's an adult.
As far as we're concerned, no. We're going to continue with this. We're treating it as if it's one of our other schools. Yes. Whether we're mandated to or not, we do.
Now, this document that you gave us and that we've discussed here in the public is public record, correct?
Yes.
So if we're talking about these items on this form to the public, we are not violating any safety protocols. I mean, as far as
That's why there's generic.
right. So we don't want to get into specifics of deficiencies, but you all, as board members, do have access to that report that you can read and see any of the deficiencies. Obviously, it is a concern of all of ours. I know that the Semel staff is a priority and that we are addressing it. And that's the message we need to continuously get out there. And even at a SAC meeting I was at yesterday, there were questions about their school safety council and some things that were brought up. And, you know, I appreciated the fact that we had a parent that was asking questions and wanted to make sure they knew what was going on in his schools. And there is a school safety committee that's supposed to meet and talk about ways to improve or look at areas that might be brought up to them as far as the deficiency, as far as the security concern. So that's good to get input and to make sure that it's not just a few people that are looking at this. We're all a part of this. We're all a part of this process. So I just wanted to make sure the board was aware of you know, the ability to get to look at the specific findings. And the hardening grant, have we been given more direction now as far as the timeline? Because I know it's kind of changed around a little bit, and our amount. Do we know the amount? So can you share that with us?
Yes. Our amount is 538?
538.
He's the numbers guy. 538,000. And yes, we have the grant. We have had. Yes. Yes.
Well, isn't that supposed to be when is that supposed to be to us, by January 31st? Or when are we supposed to have access to the money?
December 1st is the due date of it.
That's the due date to submit it, right? But,
But we're gonna have ours in there in the next couple of weeks.
right, but did they say when we'll have access to the money?
30 days after you submit it, we're supposed to have the access to the money. That's why we're getting it submitted much sooner than our due date. We made great progress on it. We've had several meetings. We're down to finishing it up and hope to have it in the mail within the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Now, I know that the safety committee has talked about after-school events. Now, I don't see that as a specific finding or recommendation on here, but that is being addressed, correct?
Yes, protocols.
I mean, for like athletic contests and
Yes.
such. Yes, I believe we have a safety and security committee meeting next Tuesday, is that correct?
Yes.
And we'll bring in those recommendations from the athletic directors to that committee.
Right. So, Board, that's another area that we've talked about, that need to make sure we're on top of security measures at after-school events, that we don't lose sight of that. I don't think we have. I think it's been, continued to be looked at, and even from manning it with school resource officers or deputy sheriffs who come in to work extra duty, those principals now, this will have the ability, if they have a big event, even at, say, an elementary school, and they think it might be a good idea to have a deputy there, they have that ability to request the.
We've asked our principals to work with them to make sure that there's sufficient coverage if the principal and the SRO think it.
Is there a number involved, like there's so many people that run?
Depends on the event. Every event will be, if you're confined or if you're outside.
Okay.
And I
Very
think,
good.
Mr. Dodd, you said something, and I think it's important, whether it's in our SAC meetings, whether we get message from a parent, or we see a staff member too. If you see something, you have questions about, concerns about, things that you think safety-wise aren't or should be, or maybe it's just an idea, talk to the principal, talk to the administrator of the school so that we can, we'd rather have that question asked a number of times than find out later, oh, I wish somebody could have told us. So, point them to that, and so thank you.
Yes, we do. We do not have a motion.
Move approval of the 2018-2019 annual findings and recommendations for the school safety specialist to the district school board, which identifies strategies and activities that the district school board shall implement in order to improve school safety and security. That's the one I hope.
All right, motion by Mr. Kennedy, second by Ms. Powers to approve the 2018-2019 annual findings regarding school safety. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Thank you, Ms. Surridge. We appreciate the work you're doing there. Next item is budget update.
Hey, good afternoon. I wanted to check the time. All right, so as you know, in September, we brought you the annual financial and the budget. So that was effective as of August 31st. So the first budget amendment will actually come to you. The September budget amendment and the September financials will come to the next board meeting in November. So there's that little lag in between those first couple board meetings of the year. It's not a lot of going on until we get this safety and security grant and get things started there. Tax money will start rolling in, thank goodness, so we can start moving some of the money into our investment accounts and earning some interest. Interest rates are rising. The Fed did just make an increase the end of September, so we should be earning a little bit more money on our money, and that's really about all that's going on right now. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Bradshaw. All right.
Move approval.
Approval of the minutes? All right, motion by Mr. Kennedy, second by Ms. Bryant, to approve the minutes. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes 4-0. This is a chance for citizen comments. Is there anyone would like to speak to the board, come before the board? Any cards? No cards, okay. We'll move on now to our school board, our updates, and we'll start with Mr. Mullen. Okay.
I just want to say, District High School District Primary, when we went over the plan for the year, they put in the safety and the mental wellness as part of the plan too, so I think that we should do it all of them.
Just had some great school improvement plan meetings. I appreciate those opportunities, and thank you to the administrators for making the time, but also just of their approach is wonderful. And Mr. Mullen, thank you for helping on your end for that. And just something I want to lift out and lift up: the school and the district and school websites. We've been transitioning that. It's been something we've needed to do for a while. It is not an easy task, and I want to thank the superintendent, Mr. Mullen, Mr. Bishop, Mr. Chamberlain, Ms. Androsky, who even when she's out of town, was checking on trying to help it, and all of the schools, the school administrators in the sites. It is a work in progress. It is a monumental undertaking. And I know it sometimes may not look like we're getting where we're wanting to, but we are. And if you find anything or you see something, let your school's administrators know if it needs to be addressed. If you need to, you can let Mr. Chamberlain or Ms. Androsky know, and I know they're looking into addressing it. But I just want to thank everyone for their hard work on it, because it is a huge undertaking.
Put on that page, what person am I calling
The superintendent.
first? No, I just go ahead, I
Yeah,
can
that's
talk on her.
You personally or somebody?
No, it's something that's happening in schools, I want to say, we focus on that, but.
Yeah.
You just pray for me.
And something, once we get through some of this transition, I think a good conversation is board presentations. There's a way now for it to be a smoother process that we could get those presentations added to. It's almost like a Dropbox type thing, they can put it in. But again, just thank you. Again, it's huge. I'm sure it's not moving fast enough for the superintendent and executive team, but it is moving, and it's going good. It's looking good every day.
One of the issues, and I know you all know this, you don't really have staff members
Yeah.
that are assigned to keep up with the webpage. It can sometimes be a several-hour task, and sometimes it can be an all-day task. So people are doing that outside of their normal duties, so they're taking that on amongst all the other duties that they have as well. So it does become rather cumbersome. But we're doing everything we can to try to keep it up to date, make sure the information on it is up to date.
And I think that in the end, once a lot of this is transitioned, it will be far easier to keep it up than we've had previously, just because the tool is different. So from people to people, it'll be a lot more consistent, that if someone retires, you're not wondering now, what was their passcode, so we could change that section of it. It can be, it's far smoother.
I will put in a plug for
Yeah.
everybody didn't realize how much.
No, they didn't.
He was not only keeping up the district webpage, but 22 different sites.
Yes. He was
And
amazing.
very
For a lot of
creative.
reasons, he's being missed, but that's another one that we certainly miss Chris.
Sure is.
He was a great asset to us.
He's looking down, shaking his head occasionally, going, "What are you doing?" That's probably what he's doing. They're missing me now.
All right. I had a couple things. I was glad to see great turnout of fourth graders at the Living History Days at Fort Cooper State Park, and it's been very positive for the work that's done out there, for living historians to come out from the fourth graders. Stampede Rodeo is coming up. I thought it was interesting. We've got a pretty good relationship, I think, in the community with groups like the Fair Board and groups like 4-H. Marlene Law works there, and she had called about a program. for the Stampede Rodeo that's coming up. The Miss Rodeo America is actually the Miss Rodeo Florida, and she's going to be here. And so they're trying to bring her in to do some programs for elementary kids, and I think she has maybe a bullying, I can't remember what her campaign speaking was on.
It's on bullying.
It was on bullying, so I'm hoping that we can get her into the school some on that Friday, the first day of the Stampede Rodeos. It's kind of neat when you see those things come in, those connections come in, and they think about us. And I know, Dr. Heber, you're working with them, right?
Ms. Douglas is actually coordinating, and I know Floral City is definitely one of the schools. I can get, if you want, I can have Ms. Douglas get the schedule and invite you all, so if you'd be interested in seeing
That was
this rodeo at the schools, I can have her provide that for you.
That would be great.
That'd be great.
Yeah. I think from what Marlene Law told me, it's the first time that Miss Rodeo America was Miss Rodeo Florida. It's the first time the Florida rodeo queen has won Miss Rodeo America. So we have the Veterans Day Parade now on November the 10th, which is before our next meeting. So I'm talking to Mr. Mullen. I know that there's some things that work there, but I guess we need to know if we were going to walk it, or if I think, let's see, was it last year we walked? I think we walked it a couple times.
I think we
Is that
walked
gonna be
it.
our summer?
Well, we always have a
Well,
bus.
one year we had some golf carts.
One
didn't we?
year we had some golf carts.
We have a bus if you want golf carts.
I think someone had someone wasn't ambulatory on our board.
Right.
So,
So
Bill has like.
Yeah, there was something like that.
So-
We
So
have heard from our high schools and middle schools, our bands are participating.
Great.
That was nice of them.
Great. So that's on that Saturday, and I believe, do we know the start time? Was it on?
Usually it starts at 10, because they want to get to the courthouse by 11, so they can do their
Right. So I guess Ms. Adele will get some final things out, but we'll plan on walking then, right?
Yeah.
We'll meet the high schools usually.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's,
Look for the
you not
big
need
bus.
golf carts then?
No, we won't use golf carts.
Miss Maryland actually has a bus.
Right, right, that we'll have. Okay.
They spray down banners.
And what time do
When did we swear in?
Well, the swearing in is on November the 13th, is that correct?
Is it
November 20th.
Oh, it is, November 20th.
Yeah, your next board meeting will be, your organizational meeting has to be November 20th.
Is that this the year it has to be on the?
Every year divisional election, it has to be the third Tuesday.
Okay, that's good.
So that's why it's
Okay.
Thanksgiving.
So November 20th is the swearing in, we still have a meeting on the 13th.
Correct.
Your organizational meeting can be at any time, and there'll be the organizational meeting for the school board and also the leasing corporation will have that meeting also, but you can have that in any.
Will they do that on the 13th?
No.
Well, why don't we
The
just?
leasing corporation, yes, the organizational meeting, no. But you can have it at 9 in the morning.
They don't say anything.
Anytime during that day, just, but you do it at 9 o'clock in the morning, you have the rest of the day, depending on travel. I know it's an inconvenience because a lot of times people.
Well, I think it's the week before Thanksgiving. Oh no, it's the same week as
It's
Thanksgiving. It's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving.
on Thursday.
Just do it all then.
Yeah, that's all you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Okay.
You can have it in 15 minutes.
I was just gonna say, we'll just do one of those short meetings.
We'll just do, okay, so for November, we'll have our regularly meeting on November 13th. And then we'll have a meeting on November 20th, that'll be our swearing in and organizational meeting, which will be a brief meeting.
And what time?
8 a.m. I was giving you a break, I'd say 6:30.
What time do you want to do
Do you want to do it in the morning?
it? It's up to, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm.
You know what the answer to me would be is if anybody, it is, I can't have my family there until the afternoon, so. Oh, is there no school that day? Oh, then, I'm sorry, I forgot. Then whenever you want.
We didn't recommend schools.
9 a.m.?
Yeah, that will go
9
on big.
a.m. on the 20th?
I was thinking, because I didn't want to leave after that.
I don't mind.
Have it at
Because
1
you
o'clock.
get all the rest of the day to travel.
Okay.
If you do it at 5, it's wasted.
Okay,
Not
so we'll,
wasted.
okay, right, okay, so 9 a.m.
Y'all
on
good with
November
that?
20th.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good to go.
Okay.
And the swearing in, when's that?
Same time.
9 a.m. swearing.
Same, okay.
Yeah, that's the organizational meeting. is
I meant,
swearing.
I'm sorry, the organizational meeting will be that same day.
That same
Yeah,
day.
we're gonna do.
We'll do it right
those
then.
are the two things we'll do.
We'll probably be swearing in first and then the organizational meeting. Okay. And those forms that were sent to us, I think you all got them, that's.
I handed them to Lisa.
Yes, Lisa Bell's gonna take care of that form that has to be sent into the state.
Swearing in.
Or swearing in, they have to be printed. I
Oath,
guess.
I think oath of office is.
Oath of office.
Oath of office has to be sent in with $10 or something, and we all got the letters, so. The other thing is that, I've talked a little bit with, Mr. Mullen, and Mr. Rowland. You know, we've got some good things going on with our middle school sports and, you know, middle school band. I think there's maybe some struggles there with participation, but there's a lot of things we're doing that we're trying to promote these things. And so we were talking about, you know, looking at things like cross-country, which middle school now has as an intramural, you know, what the possibilities are with maybe making that interscholastic, you know, between schools. So Mr. Mullen suggested that we could have that as a workshop, just kind of review our middle school sports and activities. And we've got a middle school championship program we've got in place. We've got some more intramural sports that they're doing, which are kind of neat to see. But I thought that would make a good workshop.
What's that mean, by the way? I apologize. The interlocal,
The intramural is, they play within.
Oh, they're
within the
intramurals, but they
school.
play with.
Yeah, we
Oh,
have
okay.
teams in the school,
All the teams
like,
are-
yeah, but then interscholastic is between schools.
Okay.
But kind of like what I brought up with cross-country, and we can talk about that. With cross-country, it's kind of more between schools because they're having meets, so.
It's within the county.
Yeah, within the county, so.
The true intramurals, Dodge right, it's like we would have 4, when I did it, and when I was a middle school athletic director, we had 4 teams at the school,
Yeah.
basketball teams, and we would basketball, and we do a round robin competition.
We don't do those now?
Well, yes, they
Yeah,
do.
we do.
Oh, good. Oh.
Also, we do both. But I think, what I'm saying is, we'll bring everything and show the board what we're doing at middle school, have some discussion about where we can go and.
Because the cross-country X something or another, you would know. Is it? It seems like there's a whole bunch of, it seems like every team or school's got an X. Cross-country, XC is that?
That's X-Con. That means cross-country.
That just means cross, oh, well, that's just me, okay.
But, you know,
We just call it swimming.
So it was.
Running is one of those sports that, like Mr. Dog pointed out to me, you know, we're promoting it at the elementary and we're promoting it at the middle school. It's a relatively inexpensive sport for kids to participate in.
Yeah.
It's an inexpensive sport for kids to do, and it's something that they can do for the rest of their life, and it's a healthy movement for kids too. So it's a good thing to look at.
And there's a lot of personal best with it,
We
so
can
it's
do
not
more with
just,
that at the middle school, it's certainly.
Yeah. So, you know, we can look at something. And then I would like to maybe talk a little bit about the bands, because, you know, what we're doing to promote that. I know we're doing a lot of things, but, so that's.
so maybe we'll do, like you said, the review of all the after-school activity.
Well, I was going to kind of focus on middle school.
No, I meant for middle school.
Yeah.
I meant the, whatever, because
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything beyond band.
I agree.
If they have drama or
Let them
chorus.
talk to us about everything we're doing.
Because I think there is like chorus at one or two of the schools and.
I think we'll just have that workshop, and we'll come talk about everything we're doing.
Okay. And then I just wanted to bring to the board, the way we're updated on events in the school, and I don't think this need really for this to be in the shade at all, Mr. Bradshaw, but, you know, if there was a way to slimline that or streamline that process, you know, as far as what the notifications are to us, and I didn't know if maybe, you know, we could have something emailed, if we felt like there was a certain level, the call versus the email, if we could get an email without a specific name, just an update on the incident, and then we could call in if we wanted something, or what I'm trying to think is, some of the things that I am notified for, I don't really know if it's that important for me to have some of the, like the 911 call stuff. So I'm just trying to think, is there a way in today, is there a way we can choose to?
I guess the first thing would have to be determined what you all want to be notified.
Right.
but maybe we need to have a discussion on that.
We could certainly email any of the reps that
Yeah.
we're
I mean, we can,
doing.
you know, but you all need to be clear with us, what do you
Right.
want emailed, what do you want
Right.
phone call on? You know, because I don't want Lisa sitting there emailing me and then everybody starts calling in, or she doesn't
Yeah.
email, or she calls.
Is there a
Just be
way,
clear.
yeah, I mean,
That's what we do.
Right.
and I don't mind if we need it, I hate to put it on a workshop just to add to it, but if we need to, we could do that. But is there a way, I don't want to not get information. And a lot of what happens is
Parents call.
parents call. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I get a call from a parent that said, what's going on at Crystal River High School? And it's like, it has nothing to do with us. That's why the buses are held up. But I mean, I get calls pretty regularly, which is, I think, why you guys try to keep us informed.
Yeah, I mean, you never know what's gonna take.
You just don't know what's
Just
gonna,
call me back.
but I wonder if Skyward has the ability to set us up as a group. And within
But here's
Skyward,
I just asked Lisa a question, let me cut you off, but I didn't.
great, you-
I know that when Lisa calls, and there may be an 911 call in the school, I know she just says, give me a call back. Maybe she can tell you, like on a 911 call, but still we have this discussion, leaves a message on what she called for. And if you want more information, you can call her back, or you can choose to email. So, because I know that she'll leave a message saying, disregard, whatever, and just call her.
and that's fine. I was just wondering if within Skyward, because it has the ability to email, voice call us, and text us, if there's a way to set us up as a group, and then she just makes one phone call or does one thing and that's it. And I'm just thinking if that would just save, it would save her some time. We get it 14 different ways.
We could, well, I don't want to text you, but.
Well, I mean, you can set, each person can set it up.
Can't email, I mean, we're email.
Well, I guess if the texts are saved,
Yeah, they're in the system, Doug,
if
so
the
they're
texts are saved on this end, they're all.
Yeah, there are.
We would have to archive that.
No, you
So if we can send you an email, if you're willing to have those notices in the email, if y'all check your email, we can do an email.
And you can flag in different colors and stuff like that. The only problem is now you're creating a record, and I know we got a public records request this year asking us how many incidents were like this, how many incidents were like this. You're creating a record when you email the board member saying, you know, there was a 911 call at a, you know, red, yellow, green, whatever, you know.
But she has that now. She has it now in a written document that has our names checked off.
But when they say give me all documents, all emails, depends on the request.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking that when they make that request, though, they get it now anyway. It's just that she has to, instead of hitting a button and having it emailed.
I don't
I
know.
do get emails as well, I get the emails from
I don't know.
student services.
Yeah, I think she
and
does,
forward
that's
them-
what-
I forward them to the team.
Well, if there were a way to get a text about an incident that was archived on the sender on the school board's end, I don't have a problem. It's just that if we get texts sent to us, we have to.
I don't know how you would do that.
It would
And
through
there's nothing wrong
Skyward
with getting
because
a
it's
text
archived through
message. The only text
Skyward.
you're ever gonna get from me is call me. And that could be.
Right, but
Let me meet with Lisa, see if we can come up with a different way, and then we'll bring it back.
Okay.
I just think
We'll kind
there's,
of monitor what we're calling you on.
there may be two pieces to that, and one of it is what we're getting.
Yeah.
And maybe how we're getting it, but then the other thing is what to do to streamline the process. So we don't necessarily have to get less information, but Miss Lisa's not sitting there for one incident and you're chasing it down. I mean, you know, you have 3 incidences a day. I know she tries to prioritize, but then wants to get us that information. So if there's a way to streamline
When
that.
911 call, she can email all of you and say there's a 911 call at IMS, all clear. If you want the details, you can call her back.
Yeah,
Something like
I would
that.
find it.
and that stuff's usually fine.
How about that?
Right.
Sam, while you're getting with Lisa and discussing that, I'm concerned about all the baker acts of late. I want to know why and where and why do we have
You want
so
all the
many?
details.
I don't need to know all the details. What I'd like to know is if this is something that happened at school, is that where they were baker acted? Or if this is something that happened out of the school and the police just come in.
We call you for in school.
In school, yes. We only
Always in
notify you
school, in
in
school.
school.
But we do get
Okay.
notified of like on-site arrests for off-campus incidents.
Yes,
Correct.
yeah, because they're on
On-site.
camp, they're on site, but if they're off-site, we don't always get it.
If somebody shows
Yeah,
up.
no, we don't get
If somebody
those.
shows up at their house and arrests them, we may not know that.
Is that how we get those?
If it happens on campus, we get notified, and we notify you.
But they may be arrested on campus for an off-campus offense.
But I think, Ms. Bryan, are you saying,
I
I think
just
like
couldn't
all of
get-
us,
I
we're
couldn't get
surprised
over
how
it.
many
Yeah.
we've been having of late.
Oh.
And there may be a question later on to have as far as, you know, is this a change in procedure of, not us, but is there something happening externally of why there's so many Baker Acts, or?
Number one, we don't pay for it.
No, I understand that.
Okay, so number two, it's left up to the sheriff's office to whether or not to pay for it. And today's environment, let's say if there is happening or not happening, but, yeah, I think that
Yeah, I don't think the criteria for Baker acting has changed, but I think, you know, I don't think people I think people take things more literal now because you're gonna be second guessed later if you don't. So I don't think any of those have been inappropriate, but I think at the same time, you know, people just don't, they don't discount things as just, oh, he was just hot tempered and said it, because you don't know, right? You're better, I'd rather have too many Baker Acts than us have missed one because we didn't think they were serious.
Oh, definitely.
So-
I think it's
The
more of
Baker Act
it's
is
so
intended,
surprising.
yeah, it's intended to provide resources and mental support, mental health support for the person being Baker acted. So it's not intended, it's not a punishment, it's intended as a way to get them
Do
help
we-
and support. So
Do we know, or do we have access to data that says the difference, not necessarily even that student, but and maybe even that student, that says the student was Baker acted, and there's a difference between them being screened and taken and going through that screening process than actually being 72-hour Baker active, is my understanding. Not everyone that is Baker acted is followed through for 72 hours.
correct.
So just because we might have had 10 Baker Act calls from us doesn't mean 10 students were institutionalized.
No, that's correct.
So, I mean, is that data that at least at some point we're looking at to say,
Student Services tracks that and follows up on that.
Okay.
Mr. Heber may be able to share.
and that may be something to continue.
But we have
to
that
look at.
conversation with Student Services.
That's all I'm saying.
Because if I understand, the centers is further reducing their resourcing staff, which means for us dealing with juveniles, there's less and less places for our kids to go.
I shared Ms. Bryan's concern. A couple of weeks ago, I had Student Services pull the data for me. But we're actually less this year than we were last year.
Were we? Okay.
So it's actually going
I
down.
did the
Well, that's
I
good
was
to know.
surprised to see that because I thought we were on a trend upwards, but the data actually reflected the opposite, that it was less.
I call student services on the same thing, and I also was surprised because I thought it was gonna be much more this year than last time.
Just seeing,
It was.
It
in the last
seems
2 or 3
it, too.
weeks, it just seemed
Yeah,
intense.
it seems that way.
And I will tell you, children react to the stress in their household, and if there's a lot of stress in the household, and with the pending storm, and people not knowing if they're gonna have a home to go back to, and those kind of
Yes.
things, that increases stress in the household. Unemployment increases stress in the household, so there's a lot of factors. But I just say, just keep in mind that the Baker Act is intended to provide the resources to help put those students in touch with the resources they need for mental health. So it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, okay, so we can look at that and have a discussion.
We'll
Yeah.
start practicing.
Yeah, okay, that sounds good.
If you don't like it, change
And then the last thing that I had was, I talked to Ms. Himmel about the state school board meeting that's going to be here on Thursday. And so I'm gonna try to be there, so.
I won't, I'll be in St. Augustine, the
At
5th.
Whitman.
My wedding's not a Saturday. Oh, get with the program, Sam.
I think so.
My nephew.
Something that somebody brought up a while ago, Ms. Paris, I think it was you or someone ago, maybe, I don't know. about the safety and the awareness, and I do think our employees are aware right now because of how local the last shooting was. But as Sherry said, it is on every principal's meeting agenda that's discussed. Sherry presents, they ask questions, and I will tell you, even when for our kids, when I meet with my high school kids, I've only met with 2 of them. I meet with people on Friday. That's always on our agenda. I ask the kids if they feel safe, and then we start talking about bullying and how can we report it, and I make sure they're aware of how what they're seeing. So you're right, it's just a conversation that we have to be committed to, that we carry that on, and I think that is happening in the schools and even with our kids. So I asked them about the ALICE program, and one of them so far told me that they really feel like that now they can do something instead of being hidden over in a corner and that kind of thing. So even the kids had a buy-in, and I'll tell you, they're asking the questions that, you know, what can we do at different times and those kind of things, and can it not be so scripted? And I told them the first couple had been a little more scripted because we want to make sure that the word didn't get out that you all were just going to go out and start fighting active shooters. So the kids' buy-in on this has been really a good piece of what we did. So kudos to staff who did the training. Oh, and also, and I think I told you all this, I meet tomorrow's my next meeting. I've already met with one time, and when you said that about the SAC committee, bringing up about safety concerns, the executive staff and I meet with the parent advisory, there's a representative from every SABC meeting. And then we send them the notes so they can go back and share with their group. And if they've got questions, and hopefully the question that you were asked, they'll bring that to us tomorrow and those kinds of things. So that's what we're trying to encourage, that we're getting feedback from them because, you know, they have some ideas because they're out there every day. Tomorrow is, Thursday is the State Board of Education meeting. It will be located at Christopher Middle School. It begins at 9 a.m. They will have snacks or breakfast items. I think they put them in around 8 o'clock, so if you all want to come by before that so you can have the pleasure of meeting your state board members. And what I did was I had Cheryl print their names and a picture by each one of them, so that at least you would have a little, there's not one of on all of them, but at least you recognize them when you all got there. So I would encourage you all to show up, at least just to come meet and greet them during the before the meeting, because once it starts, it's pretty scripted on what they do. And Mr. Todd, I would ask that we, during this meeting, that you open up the executive session so we can give the update on negotiations. Okay?
That's good.
And Ms. Emma, I just want to say, the student, that's, the student, superintendent, student council, I know some students on it. I just was talking to some students that are actually in my youth that are on it. They really feel empowered there. So thank you, because I do think it's a, I know some boards have just a board representative student. I think because of the way you've done this, we have a broad voice of students. And I tell those students, the superintendent's listening to you. So if you have concerns, you're talking directly to the person who's going to make those decisions.
Well,
So
there
thank
have been
you.
some changes at local level, at local schools, and even at school stores and things like that. And I've given all of them the invitation, if they want to come to the board meeting, they feel strong about the dress code. I said, talk to the board members so they can hear that, so it goes back to the committee. But I've also put a student from each group on the student code of conduct meeting. So I've told them if they want to come present to the board, watch the board, listen, or whatever, or I would carry their message for them, because part of these kids are pretty good.
And I actually, on part of the dress code, I've talked about it before. I'm going to bring up some proposal on that and have you all talk. But thank you, superintendent, because it's really a good thing.
When does that meeting take place? How often do you meet with them?
With the kids,
Yeah.
I try to meet with them at least 3 or 4 times a year, and then I take them to Tallahassee to watch
Our government in action.
And we go up for one day to Tallahassee, and they meet with some of the Commission of Education, and meet with our representatives, and they come and speak to them.
Okay, very good. Let's go to business. I'm going to adjourn our meeting. And we'll clear the room before we open up.